TALK.
The world is looking at El Paso.
What will we say to the world? From the KELP studio in El Paso, this is 915 Talk.
And now your host.
Good afternoon, beautiful citizens of the borderland. This is 915 Talk, and I am your host. We are broadcasting live from the heart of the world's largest borderplex, the KELP studio, on this beautiful April 2nd. It's not as blustery as yesterday, is it, Mac Daddy Del Norte?
No, it's not. It's actually really nice today.
Yeah,
I mean, semi-nice.
Yeah, we're hunkered down in this radio studio, just emanating truth and positivity through amplitude modulation at 1590 AM, frequency modulation at 95.9 FM here in El Paso, 89.3 FM in Las Cruces, streaming worldwide at KELPradio.com, and hopefully an app coming up soon, the KELP app.
Ooh, super excited for that.
Yeah, all the cool kids will have the KELP app.
That's right.
Yeah. So, Mac Daddy Del Norte, here is our question of the day.
Okay.
So, how do you say question? First of all, how do you say question of the day in Spanish?
Pregunta del día.
Del día. Pregunta del día, Mac Daddy Del Norte.
Yep.
What subject, when you have two small kids, two boys, yes. How old are they, 2 and 1?
2 and 1.
Yes, you're a busy man.
And I have a third one on the way.
I was going to let you say it. Yeah. We're going to do a GoFundMe for a PlayStation for Mac Daddy Del Norte. But when your kids go to school, what subject is most important to you that they learn?
That's a great question. But you know what? I think it's gonna have to be math.
Math?
Yeah.
Really? Why is that?
You know what? I have come to realize that numbers is something we use daily.
Wow.
Whether you like it or not. I hated math when I was in middle school, high school, college, but we need it daily.
Well, I remember the reason I was told that we had to learn math when I was growing up is because they said you're never going to have a calculator with you all the time. And that was so not true. We're all carrying around calculators in our pockets.
That is so true.
So today we have a hot button issue, Mac Daddy Del Norte.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is it?
We do not shy away from the issues on 915 Talk. Right. Yeah. So, have you heard sorry, I'm cracking up. Everyone's talking about it on the streets. What's going on at the Socorro Independent School District? Do you know what's going on, Mac Daddy?
Man, I do hear that some teachers are losing their jobs.
Yeah. There's a lot of talk about that, and we happen to have a very special guest in the studio today.
Oh, definitely.
And not just because he is the unique expression of an endlessly creative God.
That's right.
Or an infinitely creative God, but he's one of those teachers. It looks like he's getting laid off, or whatever the case may be, and he's going to come in. You know, because we really aren't a news program. Right?
Yeah, no.
But it is good to hear how these things are affecting the teachers, kind of what's going on, not just to sound off and complain, but so our community can be aware of what's going on. That's really a big reason why we have this program, 915 Talk. So I really appreciate him coming in. I know a lot of teachers wanted to come in, but were afraid. But he was not afraid. He's here, and his microphone is on. So without further ado, let's give a very warm Borderland welcome to the one, the only, Mr. Ben Vincent. Ben, welcome to 915 Talk.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Where are all those people?
Yeah, well,
I just heard all that applause. Where's that crowd?
Well, we live in a virtual world, Ben, and our goal is someday 915 Talk will have this live studio.
Audience.
Yeah, wouldn't that be great?
Dude.
People from El Paso and from southern New Mexico so excited about the issues of the borderland that they're coming out every
talk
afternoon.
on the street.
Yes. So
what's going on?
Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about what's going on in Socorro, the independent school district. I know folks have seen it on the news and all of that, but I think before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about fine arts education. You teach from kindergarten through 5th grade, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, and what education is being offered currently?
As far as fine arts is concerned, so at the elementary level, every student in the Socorro Independent School District gets a music lesson once every 2 weeks. And it might be 30 minutes, might be 40 minutes. Some go up to 45, 50 minutes. Depends upon the campus. It, by law, has to be at least 30 minutes. And there are also art lessons that are being taught at the elementary level, but they're not as many art teachers. So there's like I have 2 campuses. Some teachers have 3 campuses. Some teachers are on one campus teaching music, but the art teachers, they're all on, let's say, 3 campuses apiece.
Wow. So how many students do you have?
I've got like 2,200 students between my 2 campuses. I'm at Cactus Trails and Carrasco.
You teach 2,200 students.
Yeah, I see each class once every 2 weeks, and each campus is over 1,000 students. They're huge. They're big campuses. And so I'll teach anywhere between 9 and 10 classes a day. Lunch break in the middle, start at 8 in the morning, go till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The lower grade levels, K through 2, I'll do half an hour classes. The 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders get 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And now I don't know about the art folks. I know that they're working harder than we are, it seems like, because they have so many campuses each. And I don't think they even do the lower grade levels as much as they do the upper grade levels, just trying to get as much art education, fine arts education out there as we can. We're spread pretty thin. Some campuses are smaller than mine, and those teachers may have the longer class periods. But since I have so many classes, on one of my campuses, I think I've got 3 grade levels that have 8 sections each. So three times 8, that's how many classes I've got for the 3 top grade levels, and it's just nuts. Anytime, I mean, anytime we miss a class, like I've got a day when I can make some classes up, but I'll double them up, and when I double up a class, it's just the classes are already big.
How big are they?
22 to 24. My 5th grade classes are 26.
Okay.
And they're getting ready to increase those to 27. And they're gonna make it like all of the classes at 24. It seems like at the elementary level.
So if you're doing, if you're doing 9 classes a day at 25, right? You're talking 225 students a day, and you're only seeing these students once every 2 weeks.
Correct. Each class comes once every 2 weeks.
Okay, so this is not what I expected you to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we just have to stop here for a moment.
Let's pause.
Because I did not expect you to say that. Like, to me, that is wow. So let's start off in a perfect world.
Okay.
Utopia.
Yeah.
For music education for kids.
Yeah.
What does that look like?
Well, I would say at least twice a week would be better
than once every 2 weeks.
Once every 2 weeks. So they would have to hire they'd have to have 4 times as many teachers as we have now, because then I could be on one campus and teach, like, let's say, the lower grade levels, kinder through 2nd, and I'd see them twice a week. But even if they hired twice as many teachers as they have now, I'd still only get to see the kids once a week, which is better than once every 2 weeks. But you think about it, there are, I think we have 36 elementary campuses in the Socorro district, somewhere around that number. And so there's like 16 of us or so that are teaching, and it's a little skewed in different directions. Like, there are a few teachers that teach middle school choir half of their time and elementary music the other half of their time, and they're on one campus.
Wow.
But it's still the same schedule. They're still seeing the kids, once every 2 weeks, because they've got so much choir on their schedule. That's half their schedule. So it's still like they have, one teacher doing the elementary music on that campus, but it still takes a full week to do all the classes on each campus.
Wow.
But they might spread it out over 2 weeks. It's still a little thin. It's thinner than you'd want it to be.
Right.
I would say a perfect world would be twice a week.
Okay. So you would love to see these students twice a week.
That would be great.
Yeah. What are you teaching them? I mean, you're teaching them music,
right?
But when I think of elementary school music, I'm remembering I did have a career with a flutophone.
Okay.
Are you doing any of
Yes.
that? Yes.
Yes.
Oh, I love it.
The flutophone plays the same register in the same way as a recorder.
Right.
So for the fifth graders, we take them every February to play along with the symphony over downtown.
Oh, wow.
So we spend the first part of the year up through February teaching them how to play recorder. Some songs to get them going on how to play it, and then some are the songs that we play with the orchestra. It's a special program put together by Carnegie Hall, and they send it out to the orchestras and school districts across the nation.
Wait, did I get this right? You're taking students from Socorro Independent School District to play the flutophone to play the flutophone at Carnegie Hall?
No, I wish. That would really put us in the hole financially, right? There'd be no way to finance that trip. No, it's a program developed by Carnegie Hall. It's called what is it called? It's like the orchestra sings, the orchestra dances, the orchestra rocks, or it's not dances, it's orchestra moves. And so there's like 4 or 5 different versions of it, and we're supposed to rotate through them. And so we teach the kids the songs. We go to the symphony, and Socorro takes the biggest group because we take all of our fifth graders currently.
Wow.
To the symphony on one. The symphony's now doing it 3 or 4 days this first week or so of February. And on one of those days, we take half of our campuses in the morning and half of them in the evening, and then they fill it in with smaller school districts and smaller schools. And so there will be 2,500 students sitting in the audience at the Abraham Chavez Theater downtown, playing along with the symphony that's on stage in front of us.
Wait, what?
And then we play the recorder with some of the songs that they do. Now, they'll do some songs that are, too hard for us to, the recorder plays in one key. You can't do a whole lot with it. So the arrangements of the songs we play with them have a simplified part that the kids can play along with. And if they've been taught that, like our kids, then they can play with the symphony.
Hold on.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that while the rest of El Paso is going about our daily lives,
Yes.
and we see nothing unusual about this day, that there are 2,500 fifth graders playing the recorder at one time.
Right. Now,
Are there
at one time,
videos of this on YouTube?
Not everybody plays the recorder. Not everybody. Not everybody. Some of the schools don't have music, so they just bring their kids to experience it. Now, I don't know. I grew up here, and they've been doing this program now for 85 years. They've had a school assembly with a symphony for 85 years. It's a long. Now, they haven't been playing recorders all that time. The recorder part of it's newer. When I was a kid, 5th grade. They played a piece by Tchaikovsky called Peter and the Wolf, and it's got a narrator, and it's got all these little motifs. So when you hear this one, oh, that's the wolf. Right. And then when you hear this one, oh, that's Peter. And then, so it's a great way to teach orchestral music to elementary kids. It was life-changing for me. I remember sitting in that room going, wow, I'd never been in a room that big. I'd never heard an orchestra live. I'd never seen all these little balls hanging from the ceiling. It's part of their acoustic stuff. But that's the first thing you see when you walk in. It's like, what are all those little ball bearings hanging from the ceiling of the Abraham Chavez Theater? Everything about it was amazing to me. I still remember it to this day.
Right.
And I'm in my late 50s. It's like, whoa, big deal. So we take all these kids every year. It's usually the first week or so of February. And so yeah, it's a great time. So now what I'm doing with my kids is they're still playing the recorder, and then we're doing other stuff. But like every grade level over the course of the year, we teach them about rhythm, beats, being in tune, basic notes to more advanced notes. We teach them dances. We teach them music history, which is history of the composers, but also the music that they wrote. So it's like a music appreciation in some levels. We teach them. I mean, it's a whole bag full of stuff. And since we only see them every 2 weeks, I can't really teach them how to, let's take out our notation paper and write a song this week. In 4/4 with 1 sharp. What key is that, kids? They're never going to remember it. I mean, they aren't. If I had the kids every day, it's like different than choir.
Right.
When I taught choir, I had the kids every day. We do sight reading every day. They knew their keys. They knew their note values. They knew their rests because we did it every day.
Yeah.
So it's more than enrichment, but a little less than proper lessons, if you catch my drift.
Right.
It's still a good ramp to get the kids into loving music more than just listening to the radio or listening to their iPod,
What do you mean just listening to the radio? what are you trying to say? Everyone
There's more to music. Well, see, you don't do music, do you?
Just one song a day.
One song, okay.
A day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, most kids have got their phone or their parents' phone or they're listening in the car. Everybody loves music.
Right.
But now they can get into it and understand, oh, that's what that means when they say this, or, oh, okay, I understand what a rest is now when they pause and they're not singing or they're not playing, or they get the concepts down to where then they can appreciate music more, so that when they get to middle school, they got a little bit of music ed under their belts, but the middle school teachers don't have such a distance to cover.
Right.
Getting these kids into playing in the orchestra and the band and singing in choir.
Sure.
The kids have already been used to singing with, kind of karaoke style in my classroom. Other teachers will play along and have the kids sing. Some teachers teach them a lot of what we call ORF instruments. These are like xylophones and Celeste. What is it, Celeste? Anyway, the metal bars or wooden bar xylophone type instruments, and they'll teach them how to play those, and so they do learn some notes, but it's hard to teach them because week after week they'll forget everything,
right?
At least in my experience, and I've tried to do it with the instruments, and I'll do that a couple times, get them some sticks in their hand, they get to play, and it's more than just banging a drum. They're playing some tunes, they're playing some instruments. Just gets them to love music. And one of our previous fine arts directors, Don Rominski, who left the district retired, been there a long time. He said, we're not going to get them to sight read music at the elementary. We're not going to get them to read notes and do dictation. But if you get them to love music, then we've done our job, because then the middle school teachers can pick up there and take them to the next levels. And honestly, over the last 10 years, we've seen more and more students at the middle school and high school level doing well at competitions, like all region choir, all state choir. The mariachi groups are amazing in this town. Mm-hmm. Well, I want to think that some of that is due to the fact that they've had better elementary music education that gets them to love music sooner.
They're getting that foundation, or at least there's some baseline to
so
start
that by
out
the
with.
time they get to where they started in middle school, it's not like starting from scratch. It's like, what's a note? What's what's in tune? What do you mean by that? And they're just messing around for months and months until they can finally play some music. They step in and they've got some vocabulary in their mind that already gets them going in whatever discipline they're working on. Mariachi, band, orchestra, choir. At the middle school level in our district, we have some piano classes. We have some guitar classes. So there's plenty of music at the middle school level and the high school level. High schools have even more.
Right.
But what's going to happen?
Yeah. So we're going to be jumping into that.
Okay.
What is happening at the Socorro Independent School District? First, we need to take a break.
Okay.
And before we get into all that, I would remind our audience that all of the opinions
are like noses. We all have one, and some of them smell.
are solely those of the speaker on this program, and do not necessarily represent KELP, On Earth Media, or Desert Voice Media. But I do believe having these conversations is important, and just to hear what's going on. Before we go into break, I want to encourage our audience, if you go to desertvoice.media, 915 Talk is a Desert Voice Media production. We would love it if you signed up for our newsletter. It won't cost you a dime. It won't cost you anything. Just so you can know what's going on. You can be praying for us. Just be well informed. If you go to desertvoice.media, down at the bottom of the page, there's a sign in. Just put your email address in there. We'd love to add you to the list. Also, another thing you can do to help us out that will take just 20 seconds, 30 seconds of your time is go to YouTube and look for 915 Talk and subscribe to our channel. As you know, these conversations are aired live on YouTube, and just helping us by subscribing. We'd just be so grateful. My son, Malachi, the Italian prophet, is running the YouTube live. He actually has an Abraham Chavez theater story.
Oh, no way.
He played for the El Paso Youth Orchestra.
Okay.
And
Nice.
they were about to play.
Okay.
He plays the violin. And I'm watching. The whole orchestra is seated. And he hasn't come out. And I'm like, where's Malachi? And
Malachi? You mean Malachi?
Yeah.
You just call him Malachi as a joke or something? Poor kid.
He's used to it.
Okay.
But he's not come out. And I'm like, what has happened to him? I'm looking. And the only chair open is first chair for violin.
Oh, he's the concert master first chair.
He hadn't bothered to mention
Tell
that.
you, oh my gosh, such a modest child.
Yes, he is. He's
that's
a man.
great.
He's a man of many talents. But
Awesome.
anyway,
Well, he's obviously a talented violinist if he's first chair. Concert master. All right.
He didn't know how to tune up the orchestra, but he had received instruction on that. But it's a great program that the El Paso Symphony Youth Orchestra is doing.
Absolutely.
So anyway, I love that story. But we do need to take a break. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Thank you for joining us for these daily conversations on 915 Talk. We believe that these community-centered discussions are key for us to learn how to better serve our city and love our neighbors. 915 Talk is listener-supported and is produced by Desert Voice Media. Your support matters as we endeavor to serve our community. Our website is desertvoice.media. That's right, that's the webpage, desertvoice.media. Your donation of any amount on desertvoice.media provides the fuel for this broadcast. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
Hey, this is Pastor Ricky Alcantara from Better News Radio right here in El Paso, Texas. And I want to extend a special invitation to you to join us on Easter Sunday. Our church, Cross of Grace, is going to be gathering in a special off-site service at McKelligan Canyon. We hope to fill up that amphitheater with people singing about and hearing about the good news of Jesus Christ. You can find more information on our special Easter service at crossofgrace.net.
Testify.
I was 10 years into a 20-year bid in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, doing 23 hours a day in a cell, solitary confinement. I was at a breaking point in life where I was just hopeless, depressed. I couldn't find no peace. It brought me to my knees in a prison cell, and I met Jesus. He delivered me from addiction, from a life of crime, the gangs, from evil, wicked ways. To the gang member that's lost, to the drug addict, Jesus loves you, and no matter what you've done in this world, in this life, the doors are open. When I met Jesus Christ, he touched my heart in a powerful way. I was once a heroin addict, a thief, an all-around bad person. My name is Daniel Chavez. I'm from Central El Paso, and I just want the world to know that if he did this for me, he could do it for anybody.
And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
And by the word of their testimony.
KELPradio.com. We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back. Excuse me. We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. Today we are with Ben Vincent. We were talking about music education with the elementary schools in the area, and now we're going to jump into what's happening with the Socorro Independent School District. What's happening, Ben?
Well, unfortunately, there's a perfect storm that has brewed around their funding at this point. If you put together a bunch of different things, one, a previous superintendent and board have spent a lot of money developing some fine arts academies, ironically. There are 4 of them in our district, and they outfitted them, but then they spent a lot of money that was kind of a slush fund because they were expecting to be getting more money from the state, and that's the second part of the storm. Our governor is holding back funding increases per student because of, you can say for whatever reason, basically he wants vouchers for private schools to be available to taxpayers to be able to pay for their child's education at a private school coming from the tax money that they've spent. Because I mean, all of our property taxes pay for education.
Right.
That's the way it goes. And so he wants vouchers. I mean, they've been talking about vouchers for what, 20, 30 years.
Right.
And he wants those to be a part of it. And so they say that he's kind of hijacked the funding until they pass this measure that will allow the vouchers to be done. So schools now are still getting per student funding based on 2019 levels. That's pre-COVID. So the third thing in this perfect storm is the fact that post-COVID spending, everything's so much more expensive. Everything's expensive, more than it has been.
I've noticed that.
Right? It's
Eggs.
well, the eggs is a current problem. I mean, they've been up and down.
Right.
They went up for a while, then they came back down.
It's either music education for my children or an
eggs.
omelet.
What am I going to have? I'm going to have an omelet because I'm hungry. But the fourth thing is Socorro has lost about 1,000 students.
Why is that?
Over the last 2 years to the charter schools and other schools in El Paso. Those are they're publicly funded public schools as well. Mm-hmm. But they have a different structure. They're for-profit organizations.
Charter schools are for-profit?
They're for-profit. The owners of those schools make money that they go buy yachts and homes and whatever else with. It's
Mac
money.
Daddy Del Norte and I are in the wrong business.
That's right, Mac Daddy. You gotta change to try. I'm kidding. There are ills and pluses to charter schools within the Socorro district. We are shown many things about them that are not great. Like if a child comes to a charter school and the charter school doesn't want to keep them, they can kick them out. And the public schools have to take them back. But the funding for that child went to the charter school and stays with them. They don't have to give it back.
That's part of Mac Daddy and my business model. We're going to accept a lot of students and send them back.
Right.
Yep.
And they work with colleges who will accept any student that graduates from their program. So they can say we have 100% college acceptance. Now, whether or not that student goes to that college, can afford it, or wants to, is another subject. They play the game of what it's like a shell game. They swap the words around to make themselves look like the greatest thing. Oh, much better than the public schools. And fool people into thinking Johnny, who's having trouble at a public school, will do better at this school. They get there, they don't have the differentiation available to meet Johnny's needs, so they kick Johnny out. Johnny gets put back in the public school, and the public school has to work out the way to pay for his education without any extra funding. They don't have the money that they would normally get for him because that money went to the charter school.
Yeah, so one of my favorite things about hosting this program is how little I know and how much I'm learning. I thought charter schools were a part of the public school system.
Well, they are paid by public funds, but they are not overseen by the Texas Education Agency directly. I think that they have to, like, to be able to graduate, you have to pass the same sorts of tests and things.
Accreditation or what? Right?
Well, like the STAR test, right? The big STAR test that all the kids are taking.
I don't know about the STAR test.
STAR test is the standardized test that all Texas students have to pass.
Oh, I thought it had to do with the emissions for my car. I'm struggling with that with my 2002 Buick. That's not the STAR test.
Go to rockauto.com. Go to the emissions section. Buy new catalytic converters. Just install them. They're cheap.
Okay.
6 bolts probably, and put in a new oxygen sensor. $25 a piece.
Can you help me with that?
I can.
Okay.
Let's go.
Yeah. All right.
Let's go take care of that.
Well, first, let's figure out what's going on with Socorro Independent School District.
So if you put this perfect storm together, they spent a lot of money recently. Now that superintendent has been fired. He had a criminal past that we didn't know about, so they fired him because he lied on his applications. And the board, nobody from that board is currently seated on the board in El Paso at Socorro right now. 2 of the members of the board that were a part of that board are under indictment and haven't been at meetings in 7-8 months.
Wow.
So the sitting board now has to deal with things that are not their problem. They didn't cause this. They don't want this, but they have a projected deficit of $38 million for next school year.
On that cliffhanger, and we'll definitely get back to that, we're going to go to the roads. Charlie One, what do you see out on the roads today?
Well, Andy, I'll tell you what, we have a strong winds and dusty conditions, not as bad as we've seen it before, but it's still, that dust is in the air and just making it miserable for your breathing and everything, and being out on the road, that's not helping. And then we see there's some congestion going on in quite a few places. I'm going to start I-10 West at Zaragoza. Here we have DPS activity going on, law enforcement activity going on. It's on the right shoulder, but looky-loose, going down to look at it, really congested there, I-10 West Zaragoza. But it doesn't stop there. You're going to have that slowdown, bumper to bumper, all the way through Lee Trevino. That's because I-10 West and Lee Trevino, that right lane, take it away. So those two factors, factoring those two things right there, very slow-moving traffic, bumper to bumper, I-10 West Zaragoza through the Lee Trevino area. Also, Gateway East at Benson, we have a crash. Gateway East and McRae, stalled vehicle that's on the right lane. In the Valley, Loop 375 North at Pan American, stalled car on the right lane there. And then where are we also tapping on the brakes? Tapping on the brakes, CD lanes west and Mesa here, especially because at I-10 west and Mesa, they take away the right lane there. Sometimes the left lane, a lot of construction going on there, I-10 west and Mesa. So that has the traffic actually pretty much bumper to bumper back through the restaurant area on those CD lanes west and also on I-10 west. I-10 East Cotton through Paisano, that's a rough drive right there. Just that traffic, that afternoon traffic is going to get you there. I-10 East Cotton through Paisano area. So, Andy, we have some congested areas, dusty conditions to work with, so not an easy drive.
Right, and those looky-loos out there will get you every time. I know that the blowing dust creates congestion on the roads and in my sinuses. I had to get up twice last night to blow my nose. Charlie One, tell our listeners about the Daily Menudo.
Maybe the menudo will help with that. You know, it does kind of help there. I noticed that when you have that delicious menudo and that's spicy there, and it's hot menudo, it kind of like clears up the side, at least temporarily, right? At least temporarily, it'll kind of clear you up there. But real nice, very tasty menudo. Where Mi Frolito Cafe, 3120 Traywood, where you can have that or the breakfast, lunch, dinner specials, the vegetarian options, Mexican plates, seafood, Mi Frolito Cafe, and maybe that menudo will help with these dusty and just dusty conditions there, Andy.
Yep. Thank you, Charlie One. We'll talk later.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, and we're back with Ben Vincent talking Socorro Independent School District. So before we went into our traffic break, you kind of outlined this whole story, this situation, this perfect storm, as you put it. Our format isn't investigative journalism. Okay. You know, right? And I think most of what you talked about I've seen on the evening news.
Yes. The local news media has covered this way more in depth than I am.
Right.
I've even seen.
Yeah. So as far as I understand, the result of the deficit is 300 teachers being laid off. Is that correct?
Well, I mean, it depends on how you put it. Basically, teachers work every year on a contract. It's a one-year contract. They come out in April, and that's where we're at right now. Normally, this time of year, I'd be getting a pop-up on my login when I get to my district website, say time to sign your contract for next year. But back in February, or back at that board meeting when they informed us of all this, they're basically doing a non-renewal of the contract on 300 teachers,
right?
Because Socorro's already being overseen by a trustee from the state education agency. Mm-hmm. And so his recommendation to make up for this $38 million deficit is to cut, well, the only place they can cut really for that kind of money is teachers. I think teachers make up, if I heard at the board meeting correctly, 85% of the budget of the district.
Sure. Because
it's all the salaries. And so the only place that they can find $38 million is in teachers. Mm-hmm. And he was bragging about firing 1,000 teachers in Dallas one year when he was in charge out there. 1,000 teachers.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he went on to say something, well, we wound up hiring back 600 of them, but I don't even know when that was, or what do you do? And so here we are in El Paso. 300 teachers are going to lose their job at the end of this school year. Basically, most teachers have their salary spread over 12 months. We only work 187 or 192 days. And so the end of the school year is officially right at the first week of June.
I mean, that's the great thing about being a teacher. You get 6 months of the year off, right?
Well, not 6 months, but it's certainly more than a typical 9-to-5er. But we're paid for the number of days that we teach.
Right.
Like I'm paid to be on staff, on the clock, 192 days of the year.
Right.
And
I'm,
so,
of course, being facetious.
Oh, of course,
Yeah,
everybody says that. I mean,
yeah,
I know what you're saying. But just so, folks who don't remember or realize that teachers are, we're paid for those days, and then we're not paid for those other days. Some teachers would opt to have a 9-month paycheck, but then they'll take another job over the summer.
Right.
But most of us just opt to have our full salary spread over 12 months. So for most of those teachers that are going to not be renewed for the new school year, our last paycheck will be in July. Mm-hmm. Our July paycheck, because now we're paid, the district flip-flop. They used to pay us monthly, then they were paying us every 2 weeks, or middle month and end of month. Now they're paying us back at the end of the month. So the end of July will be the last paycheck for the majority of those teachers.
Right. So 300 teachers.
Correct.
Am I right to understand that they're mainly teachers of music, fine arts?
No.
Oh. Yeah.
The fine arts teachers are about 10% of that.
Oh,
so
okay.
The elementary fine arts teachers, we make up about 10% or less, honestly. It's right around 30, 40 teachers.
Okay, yeah, because I was, as you were saying that you have, how many students?
I have like 2,200 students.
Yeah,
total.
you have 2,200 students. I was trying to work out the math, 300 times 20.
Yeah.
And that's where I lost it because according to AI,
AI?
Yeah, there's
what does AI know?
47,000 students in the Socorro Independent School District.
That's correct.
Right, and so, and then I was looking 300 teachers. I was trying to do the math. So it's not just fine arts.
No. Basically, what they just decided, since the elementary fine arts is somehow expendable, that we were the first cut. We make up about $2 million of that deficit at $38 million. So by cutting fine arts at the elementary level only at the beginning, that's $2 million of that stretch. So they still got to find $36 million other dollars to cut in the upcoming year's budget. That's 1 year. That's not spread out over a number of years. There's no leeway in this. So, like I heard the other day, one of the high schools cut 17 teachers, because right now is the time that they have to have all the cuts in. Now, both of my campuses aren't cutting any teachers because they're too big. They can't. There's no way. They don't have any more space. They can't cut a teacher and spread those kids out over other classrooms to bring the classroom size up and put them in another. They don't have the space to make that happen. So, thank God my two campuses aren't going to get cut for the regular teachers, but my big old fine arts classroom on both campuses, they'll use it for something else.
Okay, so you're a teacher at this school.
Correct.
I work at a radio station.
Yeah.
Neither of us are on the board.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's asking us what we think, right?
Yeah.
But if they were, what would you recommend? There's not money.
Yeah, there isn't. I don't know what I could recommend because I don't understand. And I told the board at the meeting, I stood, I got my 3 minutes to talk, and I told them I didn't envy the position they were in. I've been on the board with Habitat for Humanity here in El Paso. I've been on the board with Aspendale Camp up in Cloudcroft.
Sure.
It's a Baptist camp.
Yeah.
On both of those for 20 years, or more, just back and forth. It's hard to find that kind of money. And I can understand the position they're in. And nobody wanted to cut. Nobody wants to cut all these teachers. But if that's the only place they can cut money, and everybody's saying, oh, well, cut some administrators. And yeah, there are administrators in the district that make 3 times what a teachers make.
Sure.
There are people at the higher levels that make bigger money. But it's like, I don't even know what you could cut.
Right.
At that level. I don't understand how the district works at the admin level.
Right.
I just know at my level, I've got 2,200 kids that won't get any more fine arts education for how many years? We don't know. Will Socorro buck up and figure it out within a year and be able to hire people back? I don't know.
Right.
Will it take 10 years? Most people are saying this will take 5 to 10 years for them to recoup and get the funding back and get everything back and then decide to do fine arts again. We're going to be packing up all of our instruments and stuff, all of our little drums and xylophone, everything. We're going to pack them somewhere. We don't even know where we're going to put them, because what's going to happen to those once the teachers that oversee their care are no longer on campus? You want to talk about an investment? Go buy some classroom instruments for a classroom. You can blow $1,000 on a kid's xylophone. You can blow $500 easy.
Tell me about it. I have,
you have students,
musician children.
Right. I have electric pianos, like synthesizers, on both campuses. Those each are they're $1,200 instruments to buy them new, and so. What happens if that gets put in a classroom and kids bang on it, and then 5 years, 10 years, when they bring them back and say, oh, here's the piano, and it's beaten up and broken.
Sure.
They're going to have to reinvest money unless they can figure out a way to store all this stuff away and keep it from kids and teachers.
Climate controlled.
Right? Exactly. Yes. Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to. Some of the stuff's made of wood. Those xylophones are wood bar xylophones. It's like the drums, the drum heads are leather.
Yeah.
You're not going to put up with a lot of temperature differentials, drying, with the climate like we've got.
Right. So to our listening audience, if you just joined us, we're with Ben Vincent. He's a teacher at Socorro Independent School District. It's been all over the news. There's financial strain in the district, to say the least. And as Ben was saying, it's not really staff layoffs. It's just a lot of teachers will not have their contract renewed for next year.
That's right.
What I see on the internet is 300 teachers and staff. So it's quite the conundrum, quite the problem. I'm glad that we're talking about it. That our listening audience can be informed. First of all, we are faith-based Christian radio. Hopefully, many of our listeners will just make this a prayer request, because what we're talking about doesn't have easy answers, as we were just discussing. We're about to go into a break. Just a reminder that 915 Talk is listener supported. You can go to desertvoice.media to learn more. Do not touch that dial.
We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Are you looking for a Bible teaching church on the west side of El Paso? This is Terry Gray, pastor of Calvary Chapel Sun City and speaker on the Summons broadcast, heard each weekday at 5 p.m. here on this station. Calvary Chapel Sun City is located at 960 West Borderland Road on the west side of El Paso. We hold services on Wednesday evenings at 7 and on Sunday mornings at 9 and 11. You can find out more information about us on the web at www.ccsuncity.org. The Lord bless you, my friends. Hey, KLP listeners, this is Pastor Terry Gray of Calvary Chapel Sun City on El Paso's west side. I want to invite you to join me at a new time at 5 p.m. Monday through Friday right here on KELP. If you're driving home at 5 p.m. or doing work around the house or getting your evening started, I invite you to join me as we go through the Bible, chapter by chapter, verse by verse. There is nothing more valuable than the Word of God, so let's invest our time in learning more about it together each day. That's our Bible study program, Summons, each weekday at 5 p.m. right here on KELP.
We're back. You're listening to 915 Talk.
We are back, and you are listening to 915 Talk. I'm your host, Andy Frecka. Today we're talking about what's going on in the Socorro Independent School District with a teacher whose life is being directly affected. Ben, what is the talk in the teacher's lounge?
Right.
And specifically to future plans.
Most teachers, and like in this case, we're all fine arts teachers, so we don't see each other. But like at the beginning of the semester,
each of you have 35,000 students.
Right, we're all
you don't have time to talk.
I don't have time to talk. mean, the teachers on our campuses know what's going on. They're very sympathetic. They're very sorry. I mean, they like it too. Like my teachers, when they drop their kids off at my classroom, they get a little extra break. They get to go make some coffee or copies and go to the bathroom and take care of things, a few phone calls and other things that they don't have time for otherwise.
They're like, please learn about the treble clef. I need a break.
Stay here. Be with Mr. Vincent and behave.
Yeah, get ready for the recorder. 2,500 of you.
Right.
Yeah.
So the teachers who are like that I work with, my colleagues as fine arts teachers, and we're all employed through most of us are employed through the fine arts department of the district.
Okay.
We're not employed by some of us are campus hires, but most of us are hired straight through the fine arts department. And so none of us really know what we're going to do because there aren't that many districts around us. We don't have like Dallas with endless suburbs and all this population that goes on forever. San Antonio.
Yeah, absorbing 300 teachers.
It's going to be very hard for fine arts teachers specifically because there are very few fine arts positions, but the grander scheme is 300 or let's say 260, 270 other teachers. There won't be that many positions open in the other districts around El Paso. So I'm assuming, my guess would be younger teachers will leave town. We gripe about the brain drain. It's gonna be even worse because teachers will now leave to go get jobs in other cities where positions are available. And a lot of our teachers here are what? Bilingual. And so that bilingual education is huge in other cities. They'll get swiped up.
Right.
They'll get jobs, which is great, but they're going to move.
Right. Because I did my Spanish class in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio.
Oh, gosh.
I was taught by Senora Beavers. So,
oh, yeah. I bet your accent's really good.
Tengo que ir al baño. That's
Mira.
what I learned. Anyway.
Mira su acento, mi amigo. Yeah. I grew up here in El Paso, so people think I'm fluent when I speak in Spanish because my accent's good. I just copy what I hear. My Spanish is not that good, actually. It's pretty bad.
So what you're saying is one of the concerns is that teachers will just leave El Paso.
Yeah. Yeah, or retire earlier than they wanted to. Mm-hmm. Some teachers might be eligible for retirement, but they've been teaching because Texas teacher retirement is based on the average of your 5 highest years of employment of salary employment.
Okay.
And so once you retire, your retirement is based on that, and it never increases. It stays the same for the rest of your life as a retiree. And every once in a blue moon, they've done some cost of living increases, but it takes an act of literal state Congress, state Senate to make that happen.
How bizarre.
Well, teachers don't pay into Social Security.
I did not know that.
Teachers pay directly into the TRS system, which is Texas Teacher Retirement System, and so we don't pay into Social Security. We will not get Social Security.
Hold on, Ben. Hold on. You're complaining about this, but TRS probably pays out more than Social Security.
Well, it might.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, so like, take for instance, somebody who's been teaching in the district their whole career, and they get a full pension. And so their pension is based on, let's say, $65,000 on average a year. That's what a teacher's making on average in El Paso right now.
Sorry, I missed the number.
$65,000.
$65,000.
$65,000.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so that's all that their salary, their retirement salary is based on that, and everything they make everything they get in for the rest of their life is that.
Okay.
It will never increase.
Right.
So a lot of teachers teach into their retirement age, to get those averages up.
Right.
And to get more percentage points, because you get 2.5 percentage points. There's all these formulas that you work with with teacher retirement. For me, I'm not going to get a full pension because I started teaching later in life. Right. I've only been teaching for 14 years. But get this, Andy, I could retire in 4 years. And so by pulling this thing in Socorro, they're messing with my retirement.
Right.
I'm not going to be able to retire in 4 years unless I get another job in public schools so that I can continue paying into TRS and continue building that up and get those other 4 years. If I were to leave teaching right now, it would be 7 more years before I could retire. And I know, woe is me. All the teachers that are going to be gone are planning on some formula, some amount of years teaching. Some are going to be looking at 30 more years. Some are looking at no more years. Mm. And this decision by the district is affecting all of them.
basically it's not just affecting these teachers this year, it's affecting you for the rest of your life.
In essence,
is
yes.
what you're saying.
Yeah. For some of it, definitely will be the rest of your life. I know a couple of my colleagues. One, she said she could have retired years ago. She just hasn't. Another one, same thing. She's saying, well, I'm going to go ahead and retire. They're both, now they're both young enough. They could go work somewhere else. They could go work at a private school for less money, but they won't have to because they've already got their retirement pension coming in. So it gives them the privilege of then teaching at a lesser salary, maybe still teaching elementary music, maybe teaching something else like band or choir or something else at a private school. It could work out, or they could go on and do anything else they've always wanted to do. And that's good. But, did they want to do it this year?
Right.
Well,
Right.
okay. But for the teachers that aren't that close to retirement and then can't get another teaching job, they'll be changing careers.
Right.
They'll have to.
Yeah.
They've got car payments. They've got mortgages, maybe. We all have payments. We all have stuff we got to pay for. Student loans. You can't get out from underneath student loans. They're stuck with those for life. So potentially this could put teachers on the street. I'm not exaggerating because not everybody is good enough with their money that, having to find another job, everything will be fine. There are some teachers that this is what they do, and finding something else will be so hard or so impossible, they may wind up on the street for a while. Who knows? It could be anything in between having a nice retirement and teaching, doing something else, to being on the street. We don't know. It's 300 people.
Right.
That's a lot of different situations.
Yeah.
And so when you look at it from that perspective, wow, Lord, please protect our teachers. The district's not renew the teachers this year. We might be rehiring in another year or soon. And it's like, who will want to go back to teach for you? Who will want to go back to Socorro?
Well, and who can live without income for a year?
That's right. What will they do in the meantime?
Not knowing if they're going to get their income back.
There's no way to know. And so it's like this nebulous, who knows what's going to happen,
Right.
times 300.
Sure.
That's a lot of people. That's your mom. That's your aunt. That's your sister. That's your niece.
Right.
It's all these women. And I say women because most educators are women. I teach on both my campuses. One campus has 2 male teachers. The other one has 1.
Right.
Besides me, right? And so there are men in this mix as well, but that's a lot of people who it just makes me sad. I cry sometimes thinking about 300 people without their jobs.
Yeah, it is sad. It is a huge problem. Again, I'm going to repeat myself. I love the fact that we're talking about this. We're Christian radio, and one of the things I began to realize is many of our listeners, if not most, are very well versed in what's happening nationally, but not so much locally. And this is something that's happening locally. I love the fact that we've been able to kind of unwrap different parts of this today from someone who's just there. We're not the decision makers,
Right.
but you're there on the front lines. It's affecting your life.
Right.
I know that not all teachers would be brave enough to come on and talk about this.
Yeah. Well, I'm not here to bash the district.
Yeah.
I told the district when I was facing the board. In fact, one of the board members, used in a different position that she was in the district, was such an advocate for us as fine arts teachers. She was amazing, and she's one of the folks that voted no about
Right.
this proposal.
Right.
And so I appreciate her and being brave enough to vote against it. It was 2-3.
Yeah.
2 voted no, 3 voted yes. That's all there is on the board. 5 people making this decision.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, with this number of teachers and everything going on, these are people who have already, with a degree, decided they're going to serve people at a level where they could have gone off with a degree and made more money, and had more respect, more say so in what they do. But no, they chose to teach kids, which is a difficult profession.
Yes.
It is not
Teach
for everybody.
fifth graders the food of folk.
Right? Teach kindergartners how to be members of society, right? How to
Right.
sit still and listen and start working on their penmanship and start learning how to spell and read and do all these things. Teachers are an amazing group of people, and they already give so much outside of their regular, on the clock, quote unquote, teaching day, grading papers, coming up with ideas for new bulletin boards, developing lessons. This is not a profession for somebody who just wants to come in and punch a clock 9 to 5 and leave.
Sure.
And so with this kind of person, you're going to get rid of them, and then they'll find another career in something else, or they'll go to another school district,
or they'll find another city, is what you're saying.
They'll go somewhere else. And
Right. So Ben, it is a heavy topic. And we only have a few minutes left.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not going to forgive myself.
Okay.
If I don't ask you this, because you were mentioning before we went on air, your ideas for radio talk shows.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
on a much lighter note, so what was your name for the talk show?
Well, we were talking about what's that thing that the kids do now on YouTube? They do a
podcast.
They do a podcast. And
Yes.
so I was thinking of doing like a podcast. I've already got one that's going to be Chico's Tacos. But it's TALKOS. Tacos.
Chico's Tacos.
So like talking.
Chico's Tacos.
Right. So dudes would sit around and talk about something like you and me. Right?
Yes.
Like we talk about whatever the subject of the day is, or whatever the subject of the week is, and have Chico's Tacos. My other one was going to be EP Car Tales. But cartel's kind of like a cartel kind of idea, but not on the light side, because everywhere you go in town, people got an old car.
Yes.
And some people keep them up and drive them.
Uh-huh.
Some people don't keep them up and drive them.
Right.
Some people just leave them in the garage.
Yeah, I recently, I was telling you about my 2002 Buick.
Yes.
I recently backed it.
That's not old enough.
Yeah, I recently backed it into the carport because I didn't know how to deal with the oxygen sensors, and my son's out of town anyway. But after we get off the air, you're going to come over, remember?
Right. Yeah, I got my wrenches in the car. But that would be like a show where I would go and interview people that have just some old car sitting out, and I'd interview them and take video of the car and say, well, why do you have this car? What does this car mean to you?
Right.
Because most of the time, a car that's been sitting in a driveway like this Mercedes over off Wedgwood and Cork, I think it is, or maybe it's Woody, but I think it's Cork. It's been sitting on the driveway of that house for 40 years at least. It's a 50s era Mercedes, and I know there's a story. Somebody doesn't want to get rid of that car because it was grandma or great grandma or grandpa or somebody, and they keeping the car there because it means something to them. And I'm like, I want to know that story.
All right.
And I think it should be told.
Okay, so to our audience, if you would like to have Chico's Tacos
Talking Chicos.
or EP Car Tales featured on probably weekend mornings.
That's right.
on KELP, be sure to go to KELP Radio on Facebook and let us know. But Ben, thank you for coming in again.
You're welcome.
And I know it's very heavy on your heart. I challenge our audience to not just take in this information, but be praying for all the school districts in our city, in our metro area. It's not an easy path that the board has to take, that the teachers, especially, who are the result, you're the one who has to deal with this.
That's right.
Also, the parents and the kids.
That's right.
It affects everyone. So let's be praying. And again, thanks for coming in. And as we always say, let's learn to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory. This has been 915 Talk. You have been listening to 915 Talk, a production of Desert Voice Media. In order to listen to previous editions of 915 Talk, just visit desertvoice.media. Let's learn together to love our city, love our neighbors, and give God all the glory.
I'm Johnny Erickson Tata. I learned a lesson early on in my